Hello, welcome. My name is Dave Adams. In today's video, we're going to clone Netflix using Tailwindcss. Let's get right into it. So I took a screenshot of the Netflix desktop app, and that's what's going to guide us in today's video. As you can see, there's a hero section with an image background. There are a few buttons with some icons. In the Navbar, we have a few icons as well, and a Netflix logo. When you come to the movie section, there are a few rows, about 4 of them, with different movie cards. I have a few images that I downloaded, and that's what I'm going to use for this project. This is going to be for the background. This is going to be on the movie cards, and that's the Netflix logo with a transparent background. The first thing I want to do, however, is to go to the Tailwind CSS site. I'm going to go to the docs. What I'm looking for today is something called a container. Now what the container does is it helps to format the document in a presentable way. It prevents the document from being end-to-end. What I need here is this. This is going to go into our Tailwind config file. I'm going to place it right underneath. One last thing I want to copy is the padding. This is also going to go right underneath. And we have our container implemented. Now I want to close this and come to the main HTML file. In the HTML file, the first thing I want to do is to change the title to Netflix. I think there's one more thing I need from the Tailwind site. I need this command. So every time you start the Tailwind project afresh, or you open the project folder afresh, what happens is you need this command to be able to build all the Tailwind classes that you use. So I'm going to copy and paste it right in the terminal and hit enter. One thing I want to do is to go live so we can see our Tailwind file. I'm going to split the screen so it's easy to see the changes we make. So as you can see, the title has been changed. The next thing I want to do is to clear this. This video is a continuation of my first video, which was on how to install Tailwindcss. I want to give the body a class that will change the background color. So the name of the class is BG Black. And when it's implemented, you can see that the background of the page has been changed. Now the next thing I want to do is to create the hero section. I'm going to comment. It's good to comment because it helps other people to understand your code. Now I want to create a section with an ID of hero. And now that we have that, I want to place the navbar within. I'm going to use the nav tag. And within the nav tag, I want to create a container. So that's basically a div with a class of container. Now for the hero section, I want to use the background image that we downloaded. I'm going to open the input.css file. In fact, okay. So I'm going to target the section hero, and I'm going to say background image. In Tailwind CSS, it gives you the space to use your custom CSS style rules. I'm going to go into the image folder and get my background image. I'm also going to give the hero a height of 700 px. And the background size for the background size, I want the image to cover the width of the page. It seems like the image isn't showing. I want to figure out what's wrong. I reloaded the page and now the image shows. So the next thing I want to do is to work on the navbar. With the navbar, I want to have a row. So I'm going to create a div with a class of row. I also want to apply flex to that row so everything shows in a line. Now I want to divide the navbar into two sides. So I'm going to create two divs, but I'm going to use a shortcut and then edit the last one to nav right. Okay. So for the left side, we have an image, which is a Netflix logo and an icon. I'm going to create two divs. One with the class of icon to hold the icon, and one with the class of logo to hold the logo. And now for this part, I want to reference the logo image, and it has appeared. I also want to type in an alternative text. Now what I want to do is to give it a class of height 8. In Tailwind, the units, every single unit represents 4 pixels. So basically the height of this image is 4 times 8, which is 32. But there are a few numbers that aren't given. Either way, you could also use custom measurements. Another thing I want to do is to give the navbar a padding on the top and the bottom. So I'm going to type in the class py5, and there you have it. Now for the icon, I want to use Bootstrap Icons. So I'm going to type just that. And this is the Bootstrap icon site. Now to use Bootstrap icons, you need a CDN. The CDN is basically a link that references the Bootstrap icons. So you have to scroll to the bottom and scroll up a bit. Now there are two ways to implement this. You can either use the first one, which goes into the HTML file, or the second one that goes into the CSS file. I'm going with the first one, and I'm going to place it in my HTML within the head, right underneath my CSS file reference. I'm going to save it. The icon I need for the left side is called the list. And there it is. So when you open it, the code is just here for you to copy. All you have to do is to copy and to paste. I'm going to paste this within the icon div I created. And now when you go back, it's actually there, but the color is black. That's why it's not showing. What I want to do is to go into the inputs.css and write a custom CSS style to affect all the icons I'm going to use today. I want the color to be white. Now it shows. I also wanted to have a font size of 20px. Now what happens with Bootstrap Icons is it basically uses text styles that you use to style text normally are what you're going to use to style the Bootstrap Icons as well. What I want to do is to add a flex to the nav left, and that brings everything on one line. The next thing I want to do is to space out the icon a bit from the logo. So I'm going to give this a margin right of about 20px. And there you go. Now we're done with the left side of the nav bar. I want to tackle the right side. For the right side, there are two icons. So I'm going to create I'm going to create two divs. I'm going to go to the Bootstrap icon site and search for the icons I need. One of the icons is a search icon. There it is. I'm going to copy and paste. It's as simple as that. That's for the first one. And the second one is a 3 dots. Okay, I'm just going to search for dots. And there you go. I'm going to copy it. And paste it. Now you can see they've appeared here. We also want to place flex on the right side of the nav. Now everything is in line. One last thing we want to add to the right side, so it actually moves to the right side, is a margin left auto, and the class name is ML auto. Now this shifts the right side to the right, and we're good to go. I also want to space out these two icons so it looks more presentable. Now we've achieved what we wanted to achieve with the navbar. I just want to format this a bit better. And yeah. So the next thing I want to do is to tackle the buttons. I want to minimize the navbar and then go right underneath. I'm going to create my hero buttons. So I'm just going to create a div with a class of hero buttons. I also want to give that div a class of flex, so the buttons are on one line. Now I want to create two buttons. The two buttons have text of play and my list. Now the text doesn't appear. Oh wow, I actually made a mistake. What I meant to do was to create buttons, not a div with a class of buttons. So I'm going to type that text in again, play, and my list. I want to go back into the input.css file and target the buttons within the hero buttons div. So I'm going to do the class first and then target those buttons. What I want is for the text color to be white. And I want the background color to be a bit transparent. So first off, I'm going to go with white. And then when it comes, I'm going to hover over it and then come to this bar here. This bar controls the opacity, which is how opaque the object is. I want to reduce the opacity to about 0.2, which is also 20%. So now we're good. Now you can see those buttons have appeared right here. The buttons seem to have a bit of curve on the end. At the edges. So I want to add a border radius of 4 pixels. And then I want to come back into the HTML file. I want to give it a class to space them out a bit. I want to use margin right 5 for the first one, and that creates a bit of space. I also want the button to have some padding at the top all around. So I'm going to go with py2. That's for top and bottom. And then px5 for the left and right. What I want to do is to copy this for the second button as well. But I want to take away this margin right for the second button. And our button looks nicer. Now, these buttons also had icons. So I'm going to go back to the Bootstrap icon site. I'm going to type in play to get the play icon. And the name of the icon is the playfill. I'm going to copy that code and paste it right here and leave a space. Now the second button, the second icon I want is the plus icon. I'm going to use the plus large. And I'm going to copy that one as well and paste it. Now going into back to the website, our buttons have been made and they look good. One more thing I want to do, which I should have done in the beginning, is to cut all these two buttons and place them within a container. I want everything to be in line, and that's why I have to use a container for this section as well. Now I've pasted the buttons here. Right. Okay. I'm just going to I'm going to clear this second one because it seems like a duplicate. Right. And our buttons have been aligned properly. Now I want to shift the buttons a bit to the center. So I'm going to use a margin top of 52. And that's about 208 pixels. I think I want it to come down a bit more. So I'm going to go with 56. I still feel like it should come down a bit. So I'm going to go with 60. Now, there's this extension I use called Intellisense. It's right here. Tailwindcss Intellisense. That's what gives me hints and makes coding with Tailwind easier for me. So you can get it in Visual Studio Code. So now I'm done with the hero section. The next thing we want to do is to create the movie section. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. So I also want to create a section with an ID of movie. Within that section, I want to have a container. want to create a row, a div with the class of row. And I also want to create a div with a class of cards. The first thing I want to do in the row is to have a title. So I'm going to look at the image we're referencing, and the title I want is new releases. So I'm going to go with that. In fact, you could be innovative and use anything you want. I'm just trying to be as close to the screenshot as possible. It's not showing because the color is black. I'm going to give it a class of text white. And now it shows. I also want to give both the top and the bottom a margin of 20px. And there you have it. The next thing I want to do within the cards div is to create just one card. Okay, so I'm going to create just one card, and I want to give this div a class of flex. I also want it to have a column gap of 20 pixels. So the class is gap x 5, and that gives it a column gap of 20 pixels. Within the card, I want to place the image. Card, and I'm going to give it an alternative text of movie card. And now we have our movie card. There are about 8 cards in a row. So what we want to do is to specify the width of each card. Now I want to specify a custom width. So we're going to go with square brackets, and I'm going to say 12%. Now the size of the card has been reduced. Now we've done all the hard work. All we have to do now is to copy the card div and then paste it 7 more times, so we have 8 cards. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now you save, and then we have all the cards there. I think, well, it's cool. So now that we have our whole row of cards, the next thing we want to do is to copy this row 4 times. I mean 3 more times. And then save. So now we have our 4 rows. The next thing we want to do is to go back into the image we are referencing, look at the titles, and then change them. Okay. So this one I'm going to change to comedies. I'm going to change this third one to watch it again. And I'm going to change this last one to Hollywood movies. and I'm going to save. So we have 4 rows, and they all appear here. So basically that's how you clone the desktop version of Netflix. What you can do as a challenge is to change all the images for each card, so you have something like this and you're good to go. So this is the expanded view. This is how it looks on a full screen. And I bet you when you change all those images, it will look even better. Our buttons are missing because of the white background. So, yeah. You know what? In fact, let me try to do like the first row. I'm going to change those images. So, let's search for a few movies. Horseman. I'm going to save that image as card 2. So all I have to do is to change this place to card 2. I think this one is also cool. I'm going to label it as card 3. I'm going to save it and then change the third image to card 3. I like this one as well. So I'm going to save this image as card 4. And I'm going to change the link here. One thing to guide you is when you reference the image, there's a little pop-up that hints that it's actually refers the image. And when you want to verify that the image actually is there, all you have to do is to hold Control and click on the link, and it should open the image for you. I'm going to go back. this format won't work. So I'm looking for JPEG basically. I'm going to call it card5. You could use your favorite movie. Okay. I'm just going to change this one to card 6. That's going to be card 7. I'm going to change this. And the last one I'm going to do is Breaking Bad. That format won't work. Okay, well. I want to save that as card8.png. So I would have to change this, and I'm going to reference that. Now when I go back to the page, this image didn't work out because of the height. So I think we're going to have to find a new one. Basically, we want to find ones that are taller than the width, not square images. Okay, so I'm going to just save that there, and I'm going to go back to and as you can see, we have this. One thing I want to do is to make sure they are all uniform. So I'm going to use the measurement for the first one. It's about 152 pixels. So I'm going to go into the inputs.css file and target all the images within the movie section. So I'm going to target the class, the ID movie, and all the images within it. I want to give them a height of 152 pixels. I'm going to go back into my I feel like, oh yeah, and also I want them to have a width of 100%. So I want them to cover the total width of the div, and it looks a bit stretched. So, wow. One last thing I want to do to the image is to use object fit cover. So I'm going to probably remove this, the width, and then go back. And everything is the same height. I, however, feel like the spaces are a bit too much. So I'm going to fix that. Okay. So I'm going to retain the width. And maybe make the heights 300. And there you go. I think this looks better. So all you have to do is to get more images to fill the extra spaces, or the spaces that have the same image, and you'll be good to go. Thank you guys for watching this. If you enjoyed this video, I'd want you to subscribe, to like, and to share.